If there was ever a case for term limits, it's right meow. Republicans, very few elected ones, of course, have been beating this drum for years, but now both sides, I think, are in agreement on this. According to a piece in Axios, Democrats are looking to oust some of their older members. A ranking House Democrat said, quote, some of them need to be put out to pasture. I agree. And since it's just another day that ends in Y, let's talk about how screwed up the government is. We played part of this yesterday for you, but I really want to revisit the actual part of what Senator Coons said, because it perfectly, he didn't even realize it, but it perfectly encapsulates the divide between us, not in D.C., regardless of political party, and them, the D.C. uniparty running the elite squad.
Whether the next nominee would fit more within the mainstream of who served in the past as attorneys general.
Hope we can get someone more in the main. What, like an old, compliant, don't make waves? That's what he meant. You ain't getting that, pal. This is the perfect time to remind him that we did not vote for mainstream, and Democrats don't always either. Remember when Bernie Sanders almost won the primary against Hillary Clinton? Look, if you combine the two parties on this, it's safe to say that the overwhelming majority of America is real tired of the status quo. This is like the one common ground between the parties, that and oxygen, I think, right now. Republicans just won on this issue. And look at Trump's picks to help him carry out the mission. Many are very young and not from inside D.C. I mean, at least the D.C. class comparatively. J.D. Vance is like my age. He's 41. Levitt, his press secretary, she's 27. Tulsi, Hegseth, Elise Stefanik, Dan Scavino, and a bunch more young blood all in that mix. Yes, he's got some old folks in there, but look, Trump has nominated mostly very young members that are going to carry out this mission for decades to come. Because the people who are supposed to know everything, who have been in D.C. since, like, the dinosaurs roamed the earth, are just crapping all over Trump's nominees. The same people who screwed everything up for this country for the last 4 decades. It wasn't just the last 4 years. It's been 4 decades to build up $36 trillion in debt. These people don't care about accomplishments or actual qualifications. All they care about are things that don't matter, like, are you elegant enough? Do you understand the system in D.C.? Will you mess up the neocon money trail? Like, will you play ball with the way it's always been done around here? And what's interesting about the nomination of Pam Bondi after Gaetz stepped aside last night is that they are both lockstep in policy. Pam may be even more effective, actually, but they will both literally do the exact same thing. Pam Bondi just knows how to tell someone to go to hell and make them enjoy the journey, whereas Matt Gaetz would have sent them on their way all bruised up. That's literally the only difference there. Same end result, yet some Republicans cared more about things that only matter because they said it should matter or because someone wrote an article on it, like investigations on Matt Gaetz that found nothing, or that Gaetz gave them the SADs once. This shouldn't matter given the results of the last election, but it does to people who have been in D.C. too long because they don't listen to us. And this highlights America's disdain for Washington because it's always structure over function, appearance versus ability. Everyone outside the D.C. Beltway understands this, but like no one in D.C. gets it. That action does not constitute achievement. Don't tell me about your meetings or your talks or your events. Tell me about what you've done. In D.C., qualifications are considered how long you've survived in the system. Like, have you sat in this chair physically long enough? That's like a qualification in D.C. I mean, how many times have you heard some suit supporting someone saying, oh, they're qualified?
And let's be clear. Kamala Harris has more experience than the Trump-Vance ticket combined.
It is hard to find someone better qualified in our history to become president.
As an elected district attorney, as an elected attorney general, as an elected United States senator, and as an elected vice president. She's ready to be president, folks.
And everything she touched turned to hell in a handbasket. That's what the experts told us in 2020 about Biden. They're so qualified. How'd that turn out? I mean, seriously, how'd that turn out? You better off than you were 4 years ago? No. Being in office, holding a government position, elected or appointed, is not a qualification. Accomplishing things in that position are. Like, look, if you were the CEO of like 9 companies and you just ran them all into the ground, sure, you'd have been the CEO of 9 companies. You can put that on your resume, but you have failed every time. I feel like in D.C. that would be like a great resume, though, judging by how they view experience. DC would probably hire that person over the guy who was the CEO of one successful company for 20 years. And the bigger problem is the longer these people sit there, the more qualified they think they are. When in actuality, they just get less connected to the people they're supposed to be working for, which I would say is less qualified. Well, the poster child for this is Nancy Pelosi. Like, if there was like a billboard that I could put up on I-95 for term limits, it'd have her face right on the front of it. This woman has been eligible for Social Security for over 20 years, and nothing she has done has made anyone's lives better other than herself. She's been in Congress for, 19 terms, almost 4 decades. There is not one thing that I can point to and be like, yeah, thank God for that one. She has, her stock portfolio has completely outperformed the market, oddly enough. Passed in legislation with things like the CHIPS Act and stuff, and she just mysteriously invested right before that. The state she is from, California, it's a disaster. People are leaving left and right. Her biggest legislative accomplishment is the Affordable Care Act with Obama that doubled our health care cost. There needs to be a term limit on total government employee, not just elected office. I'm talking about total time in government. Obviously, military service should probably be excluded from that. But you should only be able to work for the government for like state or federal for like 15 or 20 years. Tops. I'd like to make it 10. Look, if you're a congressional staffer for 2 years and then you go be a mayor for 6 years and then a congressman for 4 years, maybe you shouldn't serve as a senator, or maybe you should get 1 term. The days of this like 40 plus years of taxpayer funded jobs gotta go, man. And by the way, I refuse to call it service. When congressmen come out and say, I have served my district for, blah, 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 that's not a service job, okay? That you get driven around on the taxpayer dime. You get flown around on the taxpayer dime. People invite you to lavish parties and let you cut ribbons and give speeches, and you're showered in donations that, like Eric Cantor, you can spend $122,000 on steakhouses with your buddies. That's not service. Come to Iraq with me, where I got shot at for 9 months out of the year to enforce the stupid policy that you voted for with your service that sent me to war. Being an elected official is not a service job. It's a job, it's not service. It is a job, a particularly job that often, a congressman's case, pays almost 3 times the median salary of the average American. I want to cut that down. Because what do you get with people that are accustomed to a lifestyle is what just happened with Matt Gaetz, where they know better. Country hands them a sweeping win for an agenda. And despite that, people who care more about the system than their voters, they kept Matt Gaetz from taking that office. Like the Murkowskis, who Trump won her state by 15 points. She's been in Congress since 1999 and vehemently opposed Gaetz. Mitch McConnell, too, has been in Congress. He's been in Congress since I was 2 years old, 1985. He has been in and around the Congress or on the Hill as a staffer since 1968. A few other taxpayer-funded gigs in between there. That guy's been on the payroll forever. Susan Collins started her career on the Hill in 1975 as a staffer. Then she was an appointee. Then she bounced into academia before getting elected in 1997. These are people telling Trump he doesn't know what's best for America, when Trump practically just met half the people in this country and won in a landslide. But no, they're so used to people kissing the ring that they think they know better than Trump and you and I. I smell some primaries on both sides of the aisle.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.